Scene 10. Jacob's journey and the heavenly dream. Genesis 28. Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him.
Isaac to Jacob, "You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Paddan Aram, to the house of Bethuel thy mother's father. Take thee a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother.
And may God Almighty bless thee, and make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, that thou mayest be a multitude of people, and give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land of thy sojournings, which God gave to Abraham."
So Isaac sent Jacob away.
Jacob left Beersheba and journeyed toward Haran in Paddan Aram. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Paddan Aram to find a wife, and that as Isaac blessed him, he charged Jacob not to take a Canaanite wife. And when Esau saw that Jacob obeyed his parents and went to Paddan Aram, Esau realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac. So Esau went to the family of Ishmael and took another wife for himself, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, sister of Nebaioth, in addition to his existing wives. He perhaps hoped this would please his parents, though it was too late to regain the lost blessing. Meanwhile, Jacob departed from Beersheba and traveled north. He came to a certain place at nightfall and stopped there because the sun had set. He took one of the stones of that place, put it under his head, and lay down to sleep. And Jacob dreamed. Behold, a ladder or stairway was set up on the earth, and its top reached to heaven.
And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, "God, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. Thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth. Thou shalt spread abroad to the west, the east, the north, and the south. In thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land. I will not leave thee until I have done what I have spoken to thee." Jacob awoke from his sleep in awe. Jacob reverently, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. I didn't realize it." He was afraid and said, "Jacob, how dreadful, awesome is this place. This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone he had used for a pillow and set it up as a pillar. He poured oil on top of it to consecrate it. He called the name of that place Bethel, house of God. Previously, the city was named Luz. Then Jacob made a vow. Jacob, speaking his vow aloud, "If God will be with me, and keep me in this way that I go, and give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. And this stone which I have set as a pillar shall be God's house, a memorial of God's presence. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give a tenth unto thee," promising to give God a tithe in gratitude. Having made this vow, Jacob continued on his journey with renewed faith. Scene 11. Jacob arrives in Haran and meets Rachel. Genesis 29, 1-20. Jacob continued his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. He looked and saw a well in the field. 3 flocks of sheep were lying by it, because flocks were watered from that well. A large stone covered the well's mouth. When all the flocks were gathered, the shepherds would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and then replace the stone over the mouth of the well. Jacob approached some local shepherds who were resting there. "Jacob, my brethren, where are you from?"
"Shepherds, we are from Haran." Jacob eagerly,
"Do you know Laban the son of Nahor?"
Nahor being Abraham's brother. Shepherds, "We know him." Jacob, "Is he well?
"Is all well with him?"
Shepherds, "He is well. And look, here comes Rachel, his daughter, with the sheep." They point to an approaching shepherdess. Jacob noticed a young woman, Rachel, coming with her father Laban's flock, for she was a shepherdess. Jacob to the shepherds, "Behold, it is still high day, not yet time for the cattle to be gathered. Water the sheep and go and feed them." He subtly suggests they could water their flocks and leave, perhaps to have privacy when speaking with Rachel. Shepherds, "We cannot until all the flocks are gathered and they roll the stone from the well's mouth. Only then can we water the sheep." It was the custom to wait for everyone and remove the stone together. While Jacob was still speaking with them, Rachel arrived with her father's sheep. When Jacob saw Rachel, daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, he went forward. Moved by a sudden strength and excitement, Jacob single-handedly rolled the heavy stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his uncle. After watering her flock, Jacob approached Rachel. He was overwhelmed with emotion at meeting his kin. Jacob kissed Rachel, a customary greeting among relatives, and lifted up his voice and wept. Jacob then told Rachel that he was Rebekah's son, a relative of her family. Rachel, astonished and joyful, she runs off without words to tell her father of Jacob's arrival. Rachel ran and informed her father Laban. As soon as Laban heard the news about Jacob, his sister's son, he hurried to meet him. Laban embraced Jacob and kissed him in welcome and brought him to his house. There Jacob told Laban all these things, the story of his family and journey. Laban warmly, "Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. You are truly family." Jacob stayed with Laban and his household for a month. During that time, Jacob was helpful with the flocks. Then Laban said to Jacob one day, "Laban, because thou art my brother, kinsman, shouldest thou therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall thy wages be? Let's formalize your work for me with proper wages." Now Laban had 2 daughters. The elder was named Leah, and the younger was Rachel. Leah had soft or delicate eyes, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance, and lovely to look at. Jacob had fallen deeply in love with Rachel. Jacob, without hesitation, "I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter," offering to work as a dowry for Rachel's hand. Laban, pleased, "It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me." He agrees to the arrangement. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. They seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Scene 12, Jacob's marriages, Leah and Rachel, Genesis 29, 21-35. At the end of 7 years, Jacob came to Laban to claim his bride. Jacob, eagerly to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days of service are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her, so that I may marry her as agreed." Laban gathered together all the men of the place and prepared a wedding feast. In the evening, Laban took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and Jacob went into her, consummated the marriage, not realizing it was Leah. Laban also gave his maidservant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a handmaid. When morning came, behold, it was Leah. Jacob discovered that the woman he married was Leah, not Rachel. Jacob, confronting Laban, outraged,
What is this you have done to me?
"Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me?" Laban, matter-of-factly, "It is not so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, complete the bridal week with Leah, and then we will give you the younger one also, in return for another 7 years of service which thou shalt serve with me." Jacob was shocked and upset, yet he still loved Rachel and agreed to the terms. Jacob completed the bridal week with Leah. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife as well. Thus Jacob ended up married to both sisters. Laban also gave his maidservant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a handmaid. Jacob consummated his marriage with Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. He then served Laban another 7 years as promised. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, hated in comparison, he opened her womb, enabled her to conceive. But Rachel remained barren for a time. Leah conceived and bore a son. Leah, joyfully, "Surely the Lord hath looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me." She named her firstborn Reuben, meaning see, a son, and sounding like he has seen my misery. Leah conceived again and bore a second son. Leah, "Because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, unloved, he hath therefore given me this son also." She named this son Simeon. Sounds like heard, for God heard she was unloved. Leah conceived yet again and bore a third son. Leah, "Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore he was named Levi, sounds like attached or joined. Leah conceived a 4th time and bore a son again. Leah, "Now will I praise the Lord." Expressing gratitude, she named him Judah, related to the word praise. After bearing Judah, Leah stopped conceiving for a while. Scene 13, rivalry of Rachel and Leah, the family grows, Genesis 30, 1-24. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she became envious of her sister. Rachel said to Jacob in desperation, Rachel, distressed, "Give me children or else I die." Her barrenness made her feel life was not worth living. Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. Jacob, frustrated, "Am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb?" "I am not God. He is the one who has kept you from bearing children." Rachel then said, Rachel, determined, "Behold my maid Bilhah, go in unto her,
and she shall bear upon my knees, i.e., bear a child for me, that I may also have children by her. She proposes to build a family through her handmaid, according to custom. So Rachel gave Bilhah her maid to Jacob as a secondary wife. Jacob accepted and went in to Bilhah. Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Rachel delighted. God hath judged me, vindicated me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore Rachel named Bilhah's son Dan, meaning judge, for God had judged on her behalf. Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Rachel, triumphant. With great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. She named this second son Naphtali, meaning my wrestling. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing children for a time, she took Zilpah her maid and gave her to Jacob as a wife, following Rachel's example to gain more children. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore Jacob a son. Leah, with joy, a troop cometh, or good fortune has come. She named him Gad, which sounds like good fortune or troop. Later, Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Leah, happily, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. Other women will consider me fortunate. He named this son Asher, meaning happy or blessed. Now during the wheat harvest season, Reuben, Leah's eldest, now a young boy, went out into the field and found some mandrake plants, a type of herb with roots thought to aid fertility. He brought the mandrakes to his mother Leah. When Rachel saw this, she approached Leah, Rachel requesting, "Please give me some of thy son's mandrakes." Leah, resentfully, "Is it a small matter that thou hast taken away my husband? And now wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also?" Leah felt Rachel had stolen Jacob's affections. Now she guards the mandrakes too. Rachel, bargaining, "Therefore he, Jacob, shall lie with thee tonight in exchange for thy son's mandrakes." She offers Leah an extra night with Jacob in return for the plants. Leah agreed to this trade. That evening, when Jacob came in from the fields, Leah went out to meet him. Leah, assertive, "You must come in to me tonight, for surely I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." Jacob spent that night with Leah as arranged, and God listened to Leah's desire. Leah conceived that night and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah, "God hath given me my hire, reward, because I have given my maid to my husband." She interprets this son as a reward for offering Zilpah to Jacob. She named this son Issachar, related to reward or wages. Leah conceived yet again and bore Jacob a sixth son. Leah, "God hath endued me with a good dowry, present. Now my husband will dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons." She named him Zebulun, similar to the word for dwelling or honor. After that, Leah later bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel and listened to her prayer, and God opened her womb at last. Rachel conceived and bore a son. Rachel, with great relief, "God hath taken away my reproach, my disgrace." She called his name Joseph, meaning he will add, and said, "The Lord shall add to me another son," expressing faith that God would give her yet another child in the future. Thus Jacob's family grew. Between his wives Leah and Rachel and the 2 handmaids, Jacob now had 11 sons and 1 daughter. Joseph's birth brought the count of sons to 11. 1 more son would come later. Scene 14. Jacob prospers with Laban's flocks. Genesis 30, 25-43. After Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob felt it was time to return to his homeland. He approached Laban. Jacob resolved, "Send me away, that I may go unto my own place and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go. For thou knowest the service which I have done for thee." He politely asks leave to return home with his family, reminding Laban of his faithful service. Laban, realizing Jacob's value, "Please, if I have found favor in thine eyes, stay. I have learned by experience and divination that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake." Acknowledging that his prosperity is due to Jacob's presence, Laban, "Name me thy wages, and I will give it." He is eager to keep Jacob and is willing to pay. Jacob, explaining, "Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle have fared with me. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. The Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. Now when shall I provide for my own house also?" Jacob points out that Laban prospered greatly under his care, and now Jacob needs to build wealth for his own household. Laban, pressing, "What shall I give thee?" "What do you want?" Jacob, proposing a deal. "Thou shalt not give me anything. Instead, if you will do this one thing for me,
I will continue to feed and keep thy flock. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep, and every dark-colored lamb, and the spotted and speckled goats. These shall be my wages. So shall my honesty answer for me in time to come. Whenever you check on my wages, any goat or lamb in my possession that is not speckled, spotted, or brown will be considered stolen. In other words, Jacob will take only the uncommon, less desirable markings as his share, leaving the rest for Laban. Any future unmarked animals found with Jacob would be proof of theft, ensuring his integrity. Laban, agreeing readily. Behold, I would it might be according to thy word. Excellent, let it be as you have said. That same day, Laban secretly removed the male goats that were streaked or spotted, all the female goats that were speckled or spotted, every one that had any white on it, and all the dark-colored lambs. He gave those to the care of his own sons, and he put a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob. Laban, ever cunning, wanted to ensure Jacob's starting flock was as free of marked animals as possible to limit Jacob's portion. Meanwhile, Jacob stayed and tended the rest of Laban's flocks. But Jacob had his own stratagem to prosper. Jacob took fresh rods of green poplar, almond, and plane trees. He peeled white stripes in them, exposing the white inner wood, making the rods look speckled and striped. He set these peeled, striped rods in the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, in front of the flocks. It was believed by ancient folk practice that what the animals saw during mating would influence the appearance of the offspring. When the flocks that were mating came to drink, they conceived in sight of the striped rods, and the flocks bore young that were streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob also separated out the newly born speckled or dark animals into his own herds. He kept his animals apart, not letting them mix with Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger females were in heat and ready to conceive, Jacob laid the striped rods in the troughs before their eyes, so they would breed among the rods, thus producing patterned young. But when the weaker animals were in heat, he did not put the rods out. So the weaker offspring ended up belonging to Laban, being mostly solid-colored, and the stronger ones went to Jacob, as they were the patterned ones. In this way, Jacob's flocks increased greatly. The man Jacob became exceedingly prosperous and had large flocks, and female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. God blessed Jacob with success, despite Laban's attempts to cheat him. Jacob would soon be prepared to return to the land of Canaan with his large family and possessions, as the next chapters of Genesis continue. End of Genesis 21-30 script. The narrative will continue in subsequent chapters.